If it's not broke, don't fix it. And that is what I'm going to talk about today with a curriculum I'm going to be sharing from this past year. I'm going to share my favorite curriculum because it really, really worked. And I'm going to share a bit about why it worked as well. So hi, my name is Angie. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. So like I said, in this video, I'm planning on focusing on the curriculum that really worked this past year for my kindergartner and first grader. And if you're curious about what didn't work, I talked about that last week. So I'll link the video above, but go check that out. I also talked through why some of that stuff didn't work, which I think is some of the most helpful videos. I tend to love to watch any recap videos around this time of year. Also, next week is curriculum week for me. So I'm planning on sharing 4 videos next week, our family subjects, my second grader, my first grader, and my twins, which are in a preschool sort of year next year. So 4 videos next week. I'm so excited to share it with all of you. So please be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, all those things so you don't miss any of that stuff. But as for this video, favorites. So I'm gonna start with math, because this has really worked. And I feel like I went back and forth with all the math curriculum a couple years ago, but then we landed on Singapore math and it has served us so well. So I just have my son's primary math. So we're using Singapore primary math, the US edition. And I recently started using the Math Live program, and that's been wonderful. And that includes all the intensive practice problems as well as the challenging word problems. And since starting that, my son has definitely started to really get a grasp on some of these math problems. So I am very satisfied with this program. We're gonna be continuing on with that, so you'll see that next week. And the next thing that has really worked that I have just loved this year was not even in my curriculum videos for last year, and that was all about reading. And we switched to this around January, and this was level 1 for my son, and we are almost done. I think we have like 6 lessons left, and so we'll be finishing this before we take our summer break. So he did this in kind of half a year, and then the plan is to keep going with this program. But I have really loved it. I have loved that it has given him more confidence in his reading. The fluency sheets, I mean, I feel like that's what people just dislike the most, and it's not his favorite or my daughter's favorite, but it works, and I'll take that over a program not working. So this has been fantastic. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I have seen the most growth in his reading since we started this program. Next that has really worked, and I just love it, is this handwriting, which I know this is not a popular handwriting curriculum, I feel like, but my aunt, who was a kindergarten, first grade teacher in the public schools for 30 years, just really recommended this style to me. It's called the Danelian handwriting style, and it's somewhere between kind of a print manuscript and a cursive style, and I have loved it. I feel like it's very attainable for the kids, because I started my son out with more of a cursive because that's what Logic of English recommended, and it was just way too much for him. Other kids might be fine with it, but we switched quickly into this and have loved it ever since, and we're going to continue on with this every year. I think his second grade book, it starts with the review of all the stuff we've learned, and then it starts to build in the cursive because it's such an easy transition from Danelian to cursive. So I have loved Danelian handwriting. Another thing that has worked so well, won't trade it for anything, are all of our logic books. So I made a whole video about the different books we're using for kind of the kindergarten, first grade logic, and they've been great. They're some of my kids' favorite books, especially these mind benders. It took them a little bit to get used to the style, but my daughter's actually kind of intuitive with it. So it's really fun to see her work some of these problems. I love all the Critical Thinking Company books as well as some other ones. So go see that video if you're interested in logic books. But I have found it very worthwhile. We just add 1 sheet every day kind of after math. I always kind of bundle it in with our math. The next thing that we have loved, we haven't been as consistent with this, but when we do it, it works so well. And that is Artistic Pursuits. So I got volume 1 as well as volume 2. And this one was Ancients and the other one's just kind of basic art skills. And I also picked up the kits with all the art supplies and everything you need. And that's probably why this has worked so well for us, is because I have everything. I don't have really an excuse to not do art. And then it also comes with video lessons, which my kids really like. And I just find it's nice not to have to teach something. And so we tend to do this more on days where honestly, my twins are not here, if they're with my in-laws, we tend to do art on those days, or just other times. My kids always enjoy this, and they're always asking to do more projects from this or use the art supplies like the watercolor crayons or the clay or different things we've used outside of school, and just keep playing with them. So we love this. I'll continue using this as long as they're interested in art. So another program, well, it's 2 books really, has been the Well-Trained Mind books. And so that is both first language lessons for the well-trained mind as well as Writing with Ease Level 1. And so what my problem was, I think, is I started with the small hardback book where it teaches you how to pick out your own narration passages and copy work from the books you're reading, which I just found that such like a beautiful idea, but I could never make it happen and it stressed me out. So I just thought that program wasn't for me. But when I switched back into it and I picked up Level 1, it's just so much better because it's really helping me guide his narration. It's guiding the copy work, and we're slowly adding to it in just kind of an intentional way. And I'm really finding the hand holding of these programs to be really, really helpful, as well as first language lessons, which is all oral, which is really helpful for my son at this age. And if you watch the video from last week where I talked a little bit more about the grammar program we were using there, that just didn't work quite as well for him. And so when we switched back into this just fit better. It just is a good way to slowly introduce, not in a way of like, I expect him to have the definition of a noun memorized at this point, but that it's just an exposure, I guess is the best way to put it, to some of these concepts, so that when we see them in our reading or copywork or anything like that, I can easily point out, oh, do you see how they're using a pronoun here? Oh, do you see the capital letter and the period? Or what does an exclamation point mean? You know, all of those things, I'm just not as naturally gifted. It isn't my wheelhouse, and so I always felt like I needed more help. And these 2 programs have really helped me on that, and so I'm really happy I picked them back up. And so they're definitely a big win, even though we've only been using them for half of the year, really. And the last one, I don't have like anything to hold up, but I'll put a picture of the video I posted on this, which was the Build Your Library Prehistory unit, which I know she is actually in the process of revamping at this point, but I was able to add extra resources to it. And it was just a really fun prehistory, dinosaur, early Earth sort of study that I did with my kids, and they really enjoyed it. It was a really fun start to our year because we actually started that out in January. And I plan on using that kind of dinosaur prehistory study based off of the Build Your Library, but all the extra stuff I added to it, I'm going to use that again for my twins. So that was the last curriculum. It was just a huge win for us, and I think this whole stack really has been great and made for a fun year. And some things didn't work, which if you watch that video, you'll see. But I think the fact that these were all really good choices made our year just an amazing year. And it's fun to just kind of look back on how things have progressed. So anyway, that's what I have to share. But I would love to know down below in the comments, at least one curriculum that you used this year that just knocked it out of the park for you, that was just such a good choice for you and your kids. Let me know below. I just love hearing about that stuff. That is our 2020-2021 recap of favorite curriculum. And so, yeah, that's what I have. But otherwise, please go see that other video. Wait around for next week for all the curriculum for the upcoming year, 2021-2022. I'm so excited to share it with you all. Otherwise, have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll talk to you later.